What is up, fellow bench warmers? Welcome to your daily fantasy quick. What's up, guys? Welcome to another quickie. It's getting exciting right now with a late night trade that happened this morning. Well, late night, I guess, in the US, but early morning here in the Philippines. My name is JJT with Komish. Komish, first trade.
Yes.
And kind of a shocking one, right? In the
Second
sense
trade. The first trade was the bigger trade, the ball trade.
This one is a little bit more, I guess, shocking in the sense that we never really heard much about these players being traded. But yeah, Norm Powell, Robert Covington for Eric Bledsoe, Keon Johnson, and who's the other guy?
Justise Winslow.
Justise Winslow. And a few picks as well.
Well, no, they were not specifically mentioned as a trade, but these players were already rumored to be traded. That's going to be traded. Specifically Eric Bledsoe, because the contract of Eric Bledsoe next year is only guaranteed for a small amount. So there's a big cap space relief if you waive him next year, which I think the Blazers will waive him. Yeah. Norman Powell also and Robert Covington, the rumors have been wild because, of course, we know Portland is trying to rebuild or restructure or whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, for me, my biggest takeaway here is Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I think two things, I guess, on both sides. Dame Lillard on the Portland side, and the Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the other side could be something to, that somehow strengthens the belief that most likely those two players are not really going to play anymore. That's why they beefed up their roster as well.
Actually, some people will say that they believe they will come back because they went all in a way, because their luxury tax went way up. They're gonna commit to Norman Powell for 4 more years, not just 2 to 3. After this season, 4 more years of Norman Powell at I think $16 million or something. And then Robert Covington, of course, isn't cheap, although Robert Covington is a free agent. So that's what people are believing, that we won't do this deal if we don't think Paul George and Kawhi will come back. But this is the Clippers. They have an owner who's very, very rich. He doesn't care about the luxury tax. He doesn't care about money. And aggressive. So I don't think it has anything to do with Paul George and Kawhi. But on the other hand, it has everything to do with Dame Lillard, because it's tanking. It's obviously tanking. They don't want a 10th spot. They don't care.
This type of trade,
right,
in the fantasy world is obviously a veto.
Yes.
So a lot of managers are thinking, why would Portland do this trade? They pretty much got no one. Well, it was a money, something to do with money as well.
They went down.
Luxury. Yeah,
went below the luxury tax, but they also went for Keon Johnson. Actually, it's funny because I see so many posts with pictures of the players, but the only player they leave out is the player that actually made this deal possible, which is Keon Johnson. Keon is a 21st pick this year for the Clippers, and he was one of the top recruits in high school. Then he had a bad college, whatever, and people are kind of on the fence whether he's good, he's not, but that's what Portland is betting on, that maybe not getting a first round pick, not getting a future first round pick, getting a first round pick now is what they did. Yeah. And Keon is very similar to Nasir Little, actually. So I guess Portland likes those kinds of players, the athletic, hustle. Yeah, right.
Now let's talk about fantasy values here. For those involved, let's talk about those involved first. Norm Powell, Covington, Bledsoe, Winslow, and Keon Johnson.
What's your first take? Who wins among them?
No one.
Yeah,
I think Norm would get the starting role. I think Covington, I'm a little on the fence. I still believe Clippers would still make some moves because it's a very crowded forwards position there. I think they could also play small ball with Covington at the center. He still has that center eligibility, right? So he in fantasy that would be valuable. At least we can make sure that he's gonna play. I think they're gonna do that from time to time. Yeah, Powell, loses a bit of value because in Portland he's starting. He's probably the number 2 guy or number 3. Now it's hard to say. I think Clippers would be similar to the Charlotte team, wherein anyone can, whoever's playing well, they'll go with that. Because there's really no star. There's no star player that you could say this guy's gonna take over.
Some people said Powell wins in the trade because he becomes the guy, the man in LA. That's not.
No
I don't
way.
think he's that. I don't think he's that good.
Reggie
I
Jackson is the man.
Yeah, the talent of Powell. I think he's the best player right now there. I think so, but it won't be by a mile. I mean, Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson, even Kennard. There are lots of players who are equally good. So I think at the very very least, Powell doesn't lose a lot of value. I think Powell is mostly safe. Covington, I'm not too sure because I think he has Zubac, Ibaka, Hardenstein at center, right? I don't know how we can play at center there. At power forward, yes, Marcus Morris. Batum plays power forward. There's lots of players there. So Covington might be a loser for me. Bledsoe, I don't care. I don't think it matters.
You don't get
anymore.
excited about Bledsoe.
Winslow,
Bledsoe will be Bledsoe.
Yeah, Winslow also. Keon is somebody to just monitor first. Let's see. He gets minutes. Is he good? We'll find out. I think we'll find out. That's all I can say. We'll find out about Keon. But winners for me, Anferny. For me, is a winner. People are afraid of Bledsoe. Don't be afraid of Bledsoe. Anferny is a winner because it's a tanking situation.
Yeah.
And in that's I can only think of Anferny as the winner. For Portland, Nurkic is a loser.
Nance
McCollum is a
maybe
loser.
could be a winner a little bit because he's about to come back, and that might get more playing time.
For the meantime, Nurkic, Nance, McCollum, they'll be winners. But for the long term, looking at the playoff scenario of your fantasy teams, if they don't get traded by the trade deadline,
I think Nance,
I'm worried.
If they don't get traded, I think Nance gets a little bit of value. He's not the top tier guy that sits out. As long as he's healthy, of course. He's coming back from an injury. Although, like Ken said yesterday during our live Q&A, don't expect the Cleveland Larry Nance, but at least he could be rosterable. But the more tricky part, though, is the Clippers side.
They all lose. I'll just put it that way. They all lose.
Everyone loses. Like
Everyone
I said,
loses, but not
Reggie Jackson wins because there's no point guard there.
Actually, you can say that, but I feel Kennard doesn't lose a lot. I know you dropped some Kennard, but
no, I dropped
he has
Coffee.
been coming.
I dropped Coffee. I haven't dropped Kennard.
Okay, I feel like Kennard might be the backup point guard. I don't feel like he might be. He should be the backup point guard. There's no other players there that can play the point. So there might be minutes for him.
Tyloo.
But even with the role, even with the minutes, they have 10 or 11 or 12 players that can play. So
and similar skill set as well.
Yes. Coffee is a loser for sure. Yeah. Coffee is a big loser.
So, do you drop Coffee now at this point? 14 team.
I'll wait for one. I'll wait for one game. I'll wait for one game. What's the point dropping him now? I mean, we know he lost value, but give him one game. What if he becomes an Anferny Simons all of a sudden that he can still gain value? But I doubt.
Yeah. I dropped some Coffee, particularly on a 12-team league, because it's a shallower league. There's more players I can stream. I also dropped him in one of the 14 team, but not a lot. 16 team I'm holding on just to see how the rotation works. And he could have some value, like you said. We don't know who's the starter. He's definitely better than Man, right?
Well, yeah, I forgot about Man. There's still Terrence Mann.
Yeah, there's
So
still Terrence
so
Mann. I mean,
so
among all those, I think if you rank it, it's Powell, then maybe
Kennard,
Kennard Coffee would be on
Kennard,
equal.
Coffee, Batum.
Yeah, and then Batum. So at least
If you
one of those players would somehow get some value.
No, that's if you don't include Marcus Morris. If you include Marcus Morris, I think he's higher than
I'm
a
thinking
lot
of
of those.
I'm thinking more on the small forward position.
Yes, that's true. But there's so many of them.
Yeah, there's
So
so
many
many
of
of
them.
them. I think Man loses a lot. So, even in deep
Man
league,
loses a lot.
16 team,
Yes. Yes.
definitely a drop already. He's been a drop already, but he's worse now. I
Yes.
mean, 18
Yes.
team, he could be dropped. You could drop Terrence Mann already.
Batum also. Batum.
Yeah, Batum.
I think it's a drop.
Yeah. So that's the trade. Lots of rumors today coming out, and when I say lots, a lot of rumors coming out. We don't know which are true, which one would stick, but some of these rumors, some of these talks were instigated by reputable reporters like Shams, right? So I think somehow, like they say, when there's smoke, there's fire. One The biggest one probably is James Harden and Ben Simmons.
That I believe. I mean, yeah, you can say it might not go through, but who cares? The thing is, if there's a possibility of that going through, and that you cannot say that there's no fantasy impact there. There is,
Yeah.
because Ben Simmons suddenly becomes more appealing to stash,
Yeah.
right? Because the chances of him getting traded may have gone from 20 to 25 to 30%. Even if just 30%, it still went up. So I think Ben Simmons smelling better now, looking better. Dame Lillard looking worse. So things are changing.
A lot as well on the why we can say, well, why I can see this one has some traction in it is because the chain of events that happened, right? Daryl Morey talking about some possibilities, right? And then James Harden not being happy with the Nets, right? Then there was this video about James Harden and Kyrie not getting along. So if you look at the chain of events, it looks like there's some traction going on there that makes it more interesting and possible that in fact Daryl Morey is keen on not trading Ben Simmons for a big guy, and he might, like we said, right, in one of the posts, he might know something we don't, and this might be it, right? This might be it.
Yes.
So that's, I'm pretty sure, a lot of, and James Harden hasn't been playing well because again he has an hamstring issue, but yeah, something that also we have to monitor.
This is bad for Maxi though. If in case it happens, it's bad for Maxi. But we don't know the pieces here, so let's just not worry too much yet about which player gets hit. What we want to be, what we want to get out of this is just that Ben Simmons is a stash. If ever somebody dropped him or whatever, you stash him for 3 days. You can do that. I mean, 3-4 days is really nothing.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all we want to get. We want to get from him.
It's the same thing with the Clippers Portland trade. There's still a lot of things that could happen. Players can still be traded again. That's why we mentioned before that don't immediately drop players, to just try to see, especially if you won't be able to get anyone better, or at least has better potential, right? Other rumors, Julius Randle not happy. We talked about him yesterday, that there's something about Randle and New York fans, and we said that this could be a Ben Simmons situation. Well, it's looking like it. If it's true that he has, how do you say this, asked for a trade, maybe behind closed doors, not really very public, a trade could happen before the deadline.
Yeah, and the biggest rumor is De'Aaron Fox from Sacramento. Yeah, so that looks good for both sides. I would like that, because Fox in New York would, of course, be the starting point guard. Of course, Kemba really is gone, but I mean, not gone. I mean, he's useless at this point. I'm just worried about Derrick Rose. Of course, there's still Derrick Rose, but I think at this point Fox is the better player, and so he's gonna get minutes there. He's gonna rebuild his reputation. And on the other side, Sacramento needs a power forward, and they really don't have a good power forward, right? So Randall will be a good fit there also. So that this is good if that happens for both of my struggling players. I would be so happy if that happens.
You know, with this, it's looking like Fox might not play anymore before the trade deadline.
Yes,
it's very unlikely. So yeah, and other rumors include CJ McCollum's another player, you know, being swirled around
because of the reportedly New Orleans and Dallas are looking at CJ. I would pray if you own CJ that he gets traded, because he might be shut down if he doesn't. And then another rumor, Toronto is looking for a center. So that will, if you own Scotty, OG, Pascal, just be aware that one of those three, well, of course it's not Siakam, maybe Scotty or OG will go to the bench after the trade deadline. That's just what I want to say, because they are going to get a center. They are looking for a center. They're going to offer a pick for a center, and it could be Jakob Poeltl actually from the Spurs. So,
so that's going to be interesting to find out. Getting more exciting, guys. Like we said yesterday, the lull is over, right? I don't know if you noticed, but in fantasy, there was this lull between maybe week 9 to week until now, right? And then now, more exciting stuff coming in with these rumors and trades that could possibly happen. Now, let's talk about some stash players. We talked about, of course, with the Julius Randle news, Obi Toppin could be a player you could stash, though it's going to be hard to stash him, especially if you're trying to win the week. I think stashing him would be for those who has the luxury to stash them. That's why, you know, now the value of being there on top of your league would be realized, you know, because you can stash certain players like these, like drop maybe your worst player for Obi Toppin, or maybe Daniel Gafford, or maybe Isaiah Jackson, players who might have been dropped. I've seen some leagues where Isaiah Jackson has been dropped already. So yeah, there's a luxury. Other players, Keon Johnson, we mentioned a while ago. Very deep, I guess.
Very deep leagues, maybe you could stash him, or just if not deep leagues, just monitor him. If he starts, if he gets minutes, just see
the role. Look for the role.
Yeah.
Okongwu, there have been lots of questions about Okongwu. He hasn't played well over the past 2 games. I think 2 or 3 games already. And then John Collins played today, so that, you know, the injury about John Collins is thrown out the window now. Okongwu,
there's something happening in Atlanta. There's a small ball movement happening there. Capella played 18. Okongwu's just playing 19, 20 minutes. So they're looking to go small. That's what I see. So it's not good for Capella. Not exactly really good also for Okongwu. So he kind of goes down a bit in my eyes compared to Sengun, maybe, who's actually playing well lately. So he's a good stash. Sengun is a better stash than Okongwu right now. Maybe a little lower.
We all know that.
Yeah, but Okongwu was playing better than Sengun before.
Yeah.
But now Sengun is getting more and more minutes. So it looks like he's a better, easier stash. Let's say easier stash than Okongwu. So there.
Yeah. So I own some Okongwus in deep leagues. I'm stashing him. I have him in some 18-team, 16-team leagues. I'm stashing him. In 14-team, yeah, he is another luxury stash.
Yeah.
I don't mind you dropping him if you're like battling for, you need to win this week. It's okay. I think the value of Okongwu relies heavily on whether there's some trades gonna happen in Atlanta, which we really don't know. I mean, probably, you know, we're not sure even if they're gonna make some moves.
I think Collins will not get traded. I would believe Gallinari will be the one who gets traded,
which doesn't really help Okongwu as much, right?
Well, backup four minutes, so there's still a little bit there, but depends on who they get back, of course.
Yeah.
So.
Now the question is, do you stash Okongwu or Olinik?
I'd go Olinik.
Olinik had another bad game. I mean, he had 6 assists,
yes.
but another bad game today. That's two or three bad games in a row. So, now
I love it. I hope he has more bad
drop
games
him.
So right? Yeah. But yeah, he's just a stash right now. He's just a stash.
Just hold off a bit if you can. Hold on to him, for a few more days. Olinik better stash than Okongwu. Other players on the stash, Davion Mitchell. Well, Davion Mitchell is rosterable. I'm pretty sure he's not there in your waiver wire anymore. But yeah, if you're holding on to him, you shouldn't drop him anymore at this point. Damian Jones, a player that was asked last night, stash. Luxury stash? Better than Okongwu?
I won't say better than Okongwu, but
actually, better stash.
Better stash in a sense because, again, Capela can't be traded. So Okongwu won't be a starter this year. Holmes is also on the trading block, and there's a big chance he gets traded. And if that happens, Damian Jones can become the starter this year. So if stash, we're talking about stash, he's a better stash. If we're talking about player right now, Okongwu is a better player. But the opportunity, the bigger chance of getting that opportunity this year, Damian Jones.
At this point, everyone's looking for that best stash, right? I mean, who's the best jackpot stash? We initially thought it was Isaiah Jackson, and then he gets injured. So we don't know at this point. Now let's see. Could Damian Jones be that jackpot stash that we are looking for or not? Jackson Hayes, another player Commish recommended to stash.
Played well today. Again, 22 points, 11 started. 22 points, 11 rebounds, 9 out of 9 from the field, 4 out of 4 from the free throw line. A perfect line that you can have. But again, the question is, Josh Hart still out, and if Josh Hart comes back, what will happen to him?
Yeah, and I think that's what's stopping a lot of managers from picking him up as well, or even streaming him, because I've seen lots of Jackson Hayes still there. Given the way he's played for the past 2 games, no one's really running out and grabbing Jackson Hayes as much. Because of that.
But for me, Hart will come back, but I'll drop him when Hart comes back. That's my attitude. That's what I will do. Because what if Hart doesn't come back for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, which is possible because he has a knee, whatever, contusion or something. Or what if Hart gets traded by the deadline? There's a lot of possibilities. So, if Hart comes back, Hayes might lose value as a backup center, but the deadline is coming. Things can happen. He's playing well right now.
Yeah. Some Houston guys, KJ Martin, Garrison Matthews, we talked about them yesterday in our live Q&A. You could stash them. Like we said, there are some players that might be traded in Houston, particularly Christian Wood is the name that we are looking for. Or we are thinking that could be traded, but nothing's certain. These players could be stashed, especially in deeper leagues. Like KJ Martin, I think, is widely available in around 16 to 18 team leagues. So, and Tad Young, in case Jakob Poeltl is traded.
Actually, I don't think even if Poeltl gets traded, Tad they would play Tad because of a player that I think that you also know, Zach Collins, who came back today. I think they signed Zach Collins to a $22 million contract, 3-year contract. Right. So they like him. So he might be the guy who would take over from Poeltl if Poeltl does get moved. So I think Zach Collins might be the better stash there. But Tad Young, stash him for the chance that he gets traded. He's the one who gets traded.
Okay. So now, since you talked about Zach Collins, is Zach Collins at this point a buy now? He played well first game. Really well. 10
but
points.
It was garbage time.
Well, still, 10 points, 5 rebounds. I mean, I picked him up in an 18-team league. I didn't really expect. I was just thinking I just want to stash him. I didn't expect him to play that well, give me 10 points and 5 rebounds. So you think he is more of just a watch player?
In 12-team leagues?
14. Let's say 14.
Yeah.
12 team, maybe,
actually,
you just watch. For sure, you probably won't add him yet.
If you don't have any of the Okongwu, Isaiah Jackson, these players yet, I'll put my money and I'll bet on this guy. I'll stash him. I just mentioned the total possible trade to Toronto, and that is a real deal. That's a real possibility. So, as I said, they won't go to Eubanks or Tad Young if Zach Collins is healthy. So I think he's a good stash. 14 team, if only if you don't have any of the other guys we mentioned, because you cannot just have a team full of stashes, right?
Yeah.
that's that's impossible. So
you just have to be honest, you just need one. Two is a lot already in a 14 team. I think 2 stashes is a lot, especially if you're gonna stash like Isaiah Jackson and maybe a player here like Damian Jones. Damian Jones is kind of rosterable, streamer at least. But if you're gonna stash the low end stashes, like that's not really worth it, right? So if you're gonna stash maybe Gafford and maybe Isaiah Jackson, at least Gafford might still have minutes. Although Thomas Bryant is about to come back, I think. I heard.
Yeah. He's back. He's back.
So well, at least if you picked him up, at least that's what 4 or 5 more days away.
That's what makes a player like Davion Mitchell okay, because he's playing well. Yeah. So you can
technically Davion Mitchell is not really a stash anymore. The way he's been playing, he's really a whole player at this point. So Zach Collins, you could, if you have the luxury, I think Zach Collins is more of a luxury stash. There's really no mustache. I think the mustache here are probably Olynyk, Sengun, right? Those 2 players.
Sengun, Olynyk,
Davion, right? The others, only if you have the luxury to do it.
Yeah. That's true.
Terry Taylor had another double-double. Great game. So another player that you could stream and see where it goes, right? Pick buy. We're now talking about some buy players, more than stash players, right? Terry Taylor could be a buy player, could end up being like a Davion Mitchell that can have value until the trade deadline and see what happens in the trade deadline. To
actually, as I said,
drop or hold.
Terry Taylor is 6'5", 6'6". He's not really a center. So if the centers come back, we don't even know if they won't play him over Jeremy Lamb or Lance Stephenson or the others, because he's been playing so well. So I'll buy on Terry Taylor and just see what happens with the deadline.
Obviously, Larry Nance is someone you buy.
Yes.
The timing couldn't be perfect that he is now questionable. So you can, take your chances there. Dwight Powell is another player that's on the buy list of Commish. Kleber was again out today.
Yes, Kleber has a swollen knee, so it might be a long break again. So with Kristaps also out, it's down to Dwight Powell.
Yeah. And lastly, Mamadi Diakite. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
I played another great game today. That's 2. Joseph Chrysostom was asking, what do I think? To be honest, Joseph, I haven't really seen much until this morning about Mamadi. So
I researched a bit about Diakite. He's a 5-year college player. And then he already played actually with Milwaukee, I think last year. He's 25 years old. The only thing he really did well in college was block. That's his top category in college. And today he had 3 blocks. And yesterday he had 2 or something. So Diakite is a good blocker. So if you need that, even if at 6'7", he's kind of small. Again, he's playing big at the center. And one more player that I would want to mention who hurt himself today is Nick Claxton. A lot of people are asking about Claxton. Well, now this answers it for you. He hurt his hamstring again, so he's probably gonna be out for a while again. So there.
So yeah, just when you fought Nick Claxton, then that made me feel better about dropping Nick Claxton. Not that we wanted it that way, but yeah, at least I feel better about dropping him. All right, that's it for the quickie. We don't talk much about feel good. Let's just talk about some rumors. I think there would be a lot coming in from here on out until the trade deadline, and we'll update you guys on what's happening and which players to watch out for, which players to maybe stash. There might be some more players. Like I said, some of these trades could tip the scales for your team. Some of these trades, like, if you felt good about Robert Covington, who's been giving you 3 steals, 3 blocks, now the chances of that happening lowers. So that could be a game changer for some of you guys. And other trades could be, a tipping point or a scale. Tip the scales. And of course, we have future
player
there of future fantasy manager as well. And he might be the one taking over fantasy bench farmers soon. All right, that's it for today. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Have a good weekend, guys. Bye.
Bye.